Okay, welcome to the showcase of my second application. It is an audio application that houses my music tracks that I've built since the beginning of my production journey, and it's kind of come to a culmination. I've made a lot of music over the last 10 years. Some of them were full on production, from start to finish. I polished them up and everything, and some of them are just ideas, but I wanted a place that I could put all my music and be able to show people, uh, my journey up into this point. So that is what I'm going to be highlighting today, and I'm just going to get straight into it. It is a very simple application. I built a capstone project in my software development program, and I wanted to get some extra practice, so I went back to the beginning of the assignments. And if you paid attention to my post before this, I built a terminal application, which is a password generator, which has something to do with this application. But today I just want to talk strictly about this. It is a front-end application as of right now. And I think it really gave me good practice to know how to use like the basics of JavaScript, the React framework, CSS, HTML practice, all of that. So without further ado, we'll get straight into it. So we'll come up here. It is on localhost right now. I have deployed my first app from launch code, but this one I'm going as I produce things. So the production's pretty much done. I think there's a few small things I need to do before I deploy it, but I'm excited to deploy it. But I wanted to get this out there and talk about it first. So this is the start page. I wanted it to be really simple and just have like a few elements. I was playing around with a few CSS designs, so you'll see the floating audio waves in the background. They're randomly generated, so some of them start from over here, some of them start in the middle, some of them start over here, and they float from right to left. This is my first time using this feature where I have multiple elements scrolling across the screen, so I thought it was really cool how it kind of came together. There are a few glitches with it. As you see, when they come on, they don't necessarily appear super smoothly, but a lot of this is like, there was a lot of logic that had to go into this because I had to randomly generate like the size of them. Some of them are bigger than the other ones. Some of them are moving faster. So that was pretty cool to figure out how to do. Another thing too, this came by accident, but if you notice anything that any audio wave that comes in between the top of this element and the bottom, you can still see it because the start button has some transparency to it. That was completely on accident. I was trying to change the color, and when I deleted the background color in my CSS, it just became a transparent element. So I decided to keep it, and I think it looks pretty cool. So the next piece, I wanted just to be simple. I don't want like a whole lot of stuff to distract the user away from the audio. So you see this floating element here. One of the cool features is that I was able to code in this like glowing box shadow, excuse me. And because when you put elements on a screen, like I like things like the important elements to pop off the screen. It just makes user experience and the user interface itself a lot easier and more palatable. But that is probably one of my favorite features of this component right here. I also like to do like hover effects on the important elements. So if I take my mouse over here, the element is like normal size, but as soon as it enters into the boundaries of this start element, I was able to code in like scale changes. So everything inside the element, including the text, the start button itself, and the overall element, it gets bigger. And as you can see, this audio element float into the box and float out. So yeah, I wanted to keep it simple but still engaging with the user. It's kind of like a cool effect. The start button, I always have my buttons do this. Changes to everything on here it's not white. I chose to do like an off-white because I thought it looked a little bit better, but same thing. Like you take your mouse outside the start button, goes back to normal, put it on the start button, goes to that off-white, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the start page. So this is the entry point of access to the application. So not much else to it. So we'll go ahead and get right into the dashboard component. Okay, so this is the dashboard component. I wanted to keep this simple. What was really cool about this was that I built this, my capstone project for launch code. I designed this with no frameworks, no Bootstrap, no Tailwind, or any other CSS or design frameworks because I was just learning, and we really didn't go over that piece in the program. It was mainly just about the engineering aspect, the coding, and everything like that. So this was really cool to be able to duplicate it and have it look neat and even. I have been working on mobile responsiveness, so it's cool because these gaps in between the reusable header component and the reusable footer component stay the same, no matter what size they are. So that was cool to be able to replicate it. Like I said, it just very simple design, not a whole lot going as far as like intricate pieces, but I think my favorite feature, before I get to that, again, I wanted to, so you see up top, there's a title page or title component or title section, excuse me, that kind of gives like a simple instruction. Then down here, there's a description of what it is that this page is all about. So again, I have a hover effect. It turns into that off-white. I think it just makes it a lot easier to read. You can still read it like this, but having it be white in contrast to this gray and the black of the root element makes it just easier in my opinion. All of the buttons in the header and the footer do the same thing. So there's a hover effect on the exit button to go back to where we were just at the start page. Same thing with the about, and same thing with the projects. Now if you click this is going to take you back to the dashboard where we're at right now. I do have a link to my website down here, and I like how, so I did on the hover for all of these header and footer buttons, I use the scale effect a lot, like throughout this application. I think just having it get slightly bigger, it helps the user understand like, okay, cool, I'm over. Because sometimes you'll click over a button, or some websites or applications have things where you don't know if like the button's able to be picked because it's grayed out or something. But I was able to get this to scale up and also be that orange of my brand color. So I customized this one. This would take you to my personal website. And then over here, I took YouTube's red color and did the same thing. This is YouTube's official red color. So this would take you to my YouTube. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, but my favorite feature of this application is this scrolling feature. So before I get into each one of these project cards is a individual music project. So there's only 6 of them, but you can see that there's a horizontal scroll effect. And it doesn't matter if these are scrolling, the rest of the elements stay put on the page. I think that was the most difficult piece for me to get for most of these pages, is have this horizontal scroll effect while keeping this intact and in its correct spot with enough space or margin above and below. Each of these project cards, just like the start element, has that glowing box shadow effect to kind of let the user know like, hey, this is something that you want to check out, which is why I like to use that box shadow effect among other things. But yeah, I've got new releases. This is some of my more current work. This is if you paid attention to any of my posts, I released a post with AI images about these 2 projects. This is the 2-part project, All Hail the Kings. The first one, this is the good light. Ancient Memories is the darker project. So yeah, I'll let y'all check that out on your own. But then we've got singles. These are just one-off songs that I had made. I just sat down at a computer and just wanted to make something. So that's a collection of that. Archives goes all the way back to whenever I first started putting songs together. My production skills were getting better. So this is like 2016, 2017. almost 10 years ago. So, or actually, some of them are 10 years ago. So, I guess we can go ahead and click into one of them. Let's go to new releases. So this is the dashboard, and we'll go into the new releases. So each one of these project cards will go into gotta fix that guy right there. That's okay. Why don't we do that right now? I would rather, this is kind of like an ongoing project, so that's why it's still in production mode, because I'm testing things out and how they look. I think it just looks a lot neater if I just have the about. Yeah, we'll just keep it like that. So this is the project page or project component for the new releases project. So just like on the first the previous page that we just did, this has a horizontal scroll feature. So each one of these are individual tracks. My Time, The Center, Joy, Autumn 25, you know, all the way down. So these are some of the newer ones. Well, this one says 2019, but if it was a good enough song, I put it in here. But yeah, same thing here. You've got the glowing effect over here on the description. Let's users know. Once you get into the project page, so going back to the dashboard, this is just the overview of what projects you can select. When you actually get into the project page itself, there is this audio player on each one of them with navigation buttons. And so this will play a sample of the songs that are on this page. So if we click, so yeah, this audio feature is cool. I think this comes standard with just like React or JavaScript's, you know, semantic components, but you can customize this audio player and put whatever controls. I think it's really cool that I can have the volume button here. It's got the feature. I guess when you mess with the audio button, this gets smaller, but yeah, like I said, navigation buttons to move on to the next project. But before we get, I think that's enough. You got a little sample, a taste. That track right there was the first one, My Time. So, but over here we've got the About section. So highlight feature to let you see the cover art. Again, this is the About. I did not put that white color change on the effect for the background. I just wanted it to be, a little bit different than the rest of what I had. So highlight, it'll tell you about the project, and then it'll give you a small instruction to choose a track, scroll through the image cards to the right. Okay, showed you that. But the other cool thing about this is that over here on this side, I've got this piece right here where it's got other projects. So back in this section, this is all I have right now as far as projects go. But when you click into each one of the project pages, you see these are different than the last one. So I actually included logic to randomly generate based off of the projects that I have in my dashboard. So if I come up here and I hit the refresh button, it's gonna generate new ones. So it just gives like YouTube or something like that. It'll give the user options to check out other projects right here from the page without having to go back to the dashboard. But there are plenty of entry points to go back into the dashboard. Like I said, the header has projects, and then also right here in the bottom of every project page, you can click view projects and it'll take you right back here. Let's go ahead and move on. So from here, before we get into any individual tracks, I wanted to highlight these navigation buttons. Each one of them are coded to the correct endpoint. So if with this being the very first project, if you hit the back button or the previous button, it'll take you back to the dashboard. Let's go back to that. So in your short-term memory, store this. So there's new releases, All Hail the King, Ancient Memories, Singles, Archives, and then the exclusive access. This is going to be another video. We'll talk about this. I'm going to leave this out of this video for now, but these are all the 6 projects. There's another one in here, so I'm going to say 7. But these are all the 7 projects, and we'll get to that in a second. So hopefully you've got this memorized in your short term, because these navigation buttons, instead of having to go back to the project's dashboard page, you can just go and navigate through each one of these straight from the project page itself. So before we go into, we'll stop here. This is the archives one, right? I told you there were 7 projects, even though there's only 6 project cards on the dashboard displayed. That's because this one right here, these are all individual songs, but this is its own separate project within the archive. So these right here, we'll go ahead and let's click into it. These ones right here were projects that I did not necessarily finish. So almost like if you were to, you know, I don't know, make a video or write a book or start a painting and you didn't quite finish it, you just kind of wanted to get an idea out. That's why it's called ideas. That's what this page is for, and it's embedded within the archives page. Some interesting images on here. I used AI for a lot of it, probably closer to COVID, but yeah. And since this is technically the last one you see, exclusive access, I told you we won't touch on that. But since this is technically the last project, hitting the next button for right now on the ideas project page is going to take you back to the dashboard page. So if we go back through archives, we'll use this one to go back to ideas. Boom, it'll take you right back here. Has a different about blurb. Has the project. This all these images are actually based on real pictures, by the way. So I do have a picture of me as a kid with a backpack on, going to like my first pre-K school or something like that. So that's where I got this at. It's not perfect. I think it takes some prompts, just like using any AI, you know, give it the hair and stuff. But the hair, all of it based on real images. But anyway, back to the project. So yeah, I've navigated all of these buttons to go to the correct endpoint. So we're at the very end of all the music. So we're in ideas. If you hit previous, it'll take you back to archives, go back to singles, ancient memories, All Hail the King, back to new releases, and then back out. So the seamlessness of this thing was important to me, because I don't want the user to have to keep going back to this page when you're already deep into one of these, right? So, well, since we're here, let's just go ahead and click into, we'll go to Ceremony of the Gods. How about that? So this is I got to change that one too. Let's go ahead and do that right now. We'll just go ahead and do that. Cool. So this is the project page, right? We went from start to the dashboard to the project page. When you click on this, let's go to a different project actually, because I want to go to, we'll go to singles. And let's go to this one. So we'll click into it. This is the single page. It's pretty bare bones as far as it, but it's like, that's all you need. I want people to be able to go to the app and just click on a song. And if you want to listen to an individual song, you can listen to it right here. If we go back, if we were to go back to the project page, you can hit the overview like I showed you of on my new releases, but here you'll have access to the full song itself. So it's got the same hover features. It's got the cover art, got the title, has the description or a little, you know, interesting sentence to include with it. So we'll click. So this song is called Midwest to LA, and it was inspired by, I've been out to the West Coast a few times, not just LA, but it was inspired by my whole West Coast adventure time. And yeah, it's a cool little vibe. So, but same thing with as the project page, I have these navigation buttons that will let you navigate to the next individual song. And then of course, when you get to the end, this is the last one. When you get to the end, it'll just take you to the next project. So let's go back out to projects. So we were in singles, right? We went all the way to, we listened to this song. We went all the way through with the navigation buttons to Thief in the Night. And then singles is going to take you to the archives. So I tried to make this application super seamless and simple at the same time. It still is in production. As you can see, like some of these project names are running over it. Just little details like that I wanted to get tightened up before I deployed it. But the app is pretty much done. I'm excited. It might take me a little bit to get. I think I have one more media query to adjust, but I guess we could end it here. Yeah, before, I guess we can go back out. So I'll give you a sample. So on the load up of the application, and this will be the last thing I discuss for this, but the load up for the application, when you hit exit, right at the beginning, before you even enter into my application, you'll hear an overview of some of the songs or tracks that I created. What's interesting about this is I had a hard drive crash back around COVID where I lost like everything on my hard drive. All my photos, all my Ableton Live sessions, which is the DAW that I use, all the individual printouts of the WAV files with my tracks and things. So I only had like the remnant of some of that stuff that I had sent to my phone before my hard drive crashed. So some of these songs that you hear on this start page are lost forever, and this is all we got of it. But this start page has about a 7-minute cycle or sample of my music from back when I first started all the way up until the end of last year. So that is pretty much it. We'll go back, and I appreciate you guys sticking with the video this long, and hopefully I'll have it deployed pretty soon. But all right, until next time, talk to y'all later.